that's why I don't remember it so well. Okay, we're live now. Let's wait for a few more seconds. All right, let's do it. Hi, everyone. My name is Mikael Gummerus. I'm CEO and founder of Frosmo. Welcome to another Frosmo Friday Espresso chat. Today, I'm pleasure to have with me Niall O'Gorman from ChannelSight. How are you doing?
I'm doing perfectly well, Mixer. How are you doing?
All good. Yeah, Mixu is my nickname, so don't be alarmed, guys, if Niall calls me that. So today,
It's for
what we're
people
gonna
who know what you're really like.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So today, what we're gonna cover is we're gonna talk about this cooperation between brand sites and retailers, especially, of course, e-commerce retailers. And what we're gonna especially focus on is we're gonna show some practical examples and talk about how to create personalized customer journeys across brands and retailers. Talk a little bit about how the role of brands has changed over the years because of e-commerce, and give you guys hopefully some insightful best practices and how to avoid the most common pitfalls. But first, before before all of this, what is ChannelSight? What do you guys do?
So ChannelSight is basically a digital path to purchase or e-commerce experience company, and so we've been around since 2013, and our first product was kind of where to find and buy solution. So our role is across earned, owned, and paid media from the brand side, so like a Philips, a Logitech, or HP, or similar brands that across their digital touch points, whether that's an e-commerce category page, a product P2P page, or if it's a email campaign or a media activation, our role is that when a person has indicated that they're interested to purchase something and they've got that high purchase intent, is to make it as easy as possible to find and buy and ultimately go to the corresponding product page on retail sites. So directing somebody from a kind of Philips.com to a Walmart, a Target, or similar retail proposition like an Amazon.com if it's marketplace, and making sure that they land on the exact item, so the same color, shape, size, speed, in order to encourage and activate the likelihood of conversion. And then we capture all that outcome data to be able to share that back with the brands in order that they're then able to optimize their channel. So we've been operating since 2013. We're live in about 70 countries. We are working with about 120 brands or so and driving traffic to about, give or take, it fluctuates to about 2,000 retailers.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations on your success. That's really impressive. So what is Frosmo for you guys who don't know? We're a personalization software. What we help our customers to do is to create targeted, individualized experiences for their end users. So we focus on e-commerce retailers, iGaming companies, media outlets, and so forth. And of course, we enjoy a great partnership with ChannelSight. All right. So first question I'd like to ask you from Niall is how would you describe how has the role of brands and brand sites changed over the past few years because of the rise of e-commerce?
Yeah, look, excellent question. I think I have the privilege of having worked half my career on the brand side and half my career on the kind of startup side or supplier side supporting brands. So on the brand side, I was responsible for kind of global e-commerce operations or support services. So for iAmiga on storage devices, for Mondelez across different food categories and e-commerce programs. I've also run a number of DTC operations or direct-to-consumer e-commerce setups within large brands, the likes of Tassimo, which is the kind of single-serve coffee alternative to Nespresso or Dolce Gusto. And I think that if we strip back to where brands started, brands would have started just having a website, and that website would have
Mhm.
said, "Hey, we're the brand. Here's our logo." Then that evolved into some kind of a very basic catalog, and that catalog then evolved over time to become kind of the equivalent of an e-commerce product page. However, it typically had an image, a couple of lines of description, and it was just expected that you were going to get all your education from retail sites. So brands didn't expect in the early days that a lot of people were going to their web properties, and as such, didn't put a lot of investment into it. So a lot of all the investments in the MDF and the co-op fund was happening on the retail side. So if you think of that kind of perfect in-store experience, the merchandising, the primary, secondary, promotional spots, really all the energy was put into trying to replicate that online. But the problem was that there was no rich, engaging content. There were no playbooks. There were no toolkits in the early days because the brands themselves had not, walked in the shoes of the retailer by
Mm.
having to create all this content. So what was happening is that the retailers were solving for themselves, taking their own photography, putting their own content together, which that was really, really good. So that started serving the customer, making sure that they were getting some kind of information. But the problem for the brands was that it was completely the wild, wild west. So, nobody was in control. The brand was not being curated. Logos were being hacked together. Imagery was all over the place. There was no consistency.
Yeah.
So brands realized that they needed to put in a lot of energy into figuring out how to take that storytelling, which they were very effective through their agency supports and media teams, putting out across all the different kind of earned, owned, and paid media channels, and then translating that into a great experience and atomizing that content into their own brand properties first. And then how do they syndicate that out to the retail side? So for a number of years, there was lots of test and learns and lots of experimentation between the retail side, the brand side, and it created a whole ecosystem of companies in between, including Frosmo and ChannelSight and Flix Media and Web Collage and various others, which helped facilitate, first and foremost, that content coming from the brands over to retail in order to kind of curate the experience and make sure that it was consistent. And that whole kind of content syndication business, including folks like Brandbank, um, created that opportunity for brands to start getting back in control of the content that was being presented on their behalf. And then obviously it's the experience of the marketing team having to then go and I suppose engage with the sales team and the trade and retail marketing teams and the commercial teams to start coming together as one unit to figure out how do they trade that relationship beyond pure commercial. So historically very adversarial. So it's all about negotiation and price points and deals and who gets what
Mm.
and who's in control. But they realize that when you're thinking about digital and e-commerce and omni-channel and serving the consumer, then you need to come together and share data. And only by sharing data do you unlock the true opportunity. And really, the sum of the parts, 1 + 1 = 3, is amplified because when you take the power of the insights that the brand has within their shopper insights, consumer insights team, the power of the media to amplify the message and get that out across all their channels, and then work with partners like Frosmo and ChannelSight to help activate that engagement and translate that into a call to action, and then capture the outcome to then use that data to optimize the journey on retail. So in the past, there was a
Mm.
complete disconnect, and I suppose consumers were expected to just go and find the product themselves. Where now, with support of companies like Frosmo and ChannelSight, we're helping to curate that digital path to purchase, to cut out all the friction points, avoid the competitive distraction, and make sure that we maintain the consumer experience that the brand is expecting, right from the, I suppose, the media all the way through to retail execution to conversion, and then all the data which helps to optimize that. Because the brands used to be in control and spending large amounts of media in driving traffic through TV campaigns, radio campaigns, print campaigns, and it was you put enough money in the front of the funnel and you expect a certain conversion and job done. We have the old quote that 50% of my media is wasted. I just don't know
Mm.
which half. Well, digital has helped to unlock that and give us a lot of, I suppose, data points which help us to optimize and
And that is
understand what is
complexity. Yeah.
exactly. And it's extremely complex and still complex today. And there's a lot of parties involved. And one of the points that you raised earlier in the week with me was the whole thing of cookies and tracking going away, and what the new reality is going to be, and how
Yeah.
all this technology, which is built up over many years, is going to function. So that's going to be a critical factor. But what it really boils back to, when you strip back all the technology and all the sophistication, it's all about relationships. So it's relationships between brands and the retailer community, relationships between the retailers and their consumers. And now more and more brands are starting to step forward and starting to build direct relationships with the consumers themselves. And initially, that was perceived as a very negative thing, and it was about taking the opportunity away from retail and disenfranchising them. But really, it's about test and learn. It's about
Mhm.
learning how to, again, talk to the end consumer, build those engaging experiences, which can then be amplified when you take that learning out to the retail community. So I think it's not that the opportunity from retail has been taken away. If anything, by the brands being educated on how e-commerce works and omni-channel and running their own DTC operations, while it'll probably be a very small percentage of overall revenue for many years to come, it educates them. It means they're more agile. They're walking in the shoes of the retailer. They feel their pain in trying to service the consumer. So then when they go out and speak to the retailer, they're having a more engaged conversation, which is going to unlock more value for the retailer, the brand, and the consumer, because they're going to be served in a better and more engaged way.
Absolutely. And I also think that when brand sites are sending traffic to retailers, it can be really high quality. So the conversions might be significantly higher than some traffic from, let's say, which has happened through search engine or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So to your point, if we think about the traffic that we're sending, it's as good as, if not better, than any other source that they have. So
Yeah.
brands love the fact that they get visibility on the outcome. So what happens when they drive clicks and leads over to retail? Retailers love the traffic because it's only coming from brand properties, so it's of extreme high quality, high purchase intent. And then platforms like Frosmo and Rich Relevance and various other ecosystem partners that are operating on the retail community love the data as well, because again, they know that this is where the person is coming from, this is what they did before they got to this platform, so they can remix and leverage that in the experiences, whether that's in cross-sell, upsell, recommendation engines, retail search exchange, and that whole personalization piece that you guys are excellent at, and why we've partnered together on a number of engagements over the years.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for very insightful look in the history and the present day. So let's take it a little bit more to the tangible level, to the concrete level. So I'll just gonna try to recap and just to make sure I understood correctly what ChannelSight does. So I arrived at the brand site. Let's assume I'm a big fan of Philips TVs, and while I search around the website, the Philips website, ChannelSight is generating a recommendation to me where I could purchase a TV. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So if you think of, and I can share an experience to give you a sense of what that looks like. But if you go to, so let me just put up on screen to give you a sense of how that would
Fantastic.
operate. Just give me 1 second. As with all these things, when you're starting to introduce technology, then magical things start to happen in positive and negative ways. But just let me share the screen and see if this works out for us. Hold on. Okay. And here we go. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, and it's coming up right now. Awesome.
Perfect. So this is the Philips website, and it's the Finnish
Yep.
Philips website. And if I browse down and I've identified that I want to purchase this product, then ChannelSight is powering the indirect experience. So it's presenting back the DTC experience, but also basically powering the
I will
indirect. So you can
say,
see that these are the retailers are popping up. So if I wanted to purchase and go one click, then it's bringing me to the landing page of that item. And then we're obviously tracking the outcome of what happens afterwards. So did they purchase this item? Did they purchase that item plus other items? Was there any competitive impacts? And so if I give you just very briefly a couple of other examples, here's an example on the Crucial website where again, we're pairing that kind of where to buy experience, one click, and it brings back all the different indirect pure plays, the DTC, marketplace, bricks and clicks, who are presenting those products back. And if I show you this example, it's a nice example from Gordon's, which are activated on media, where it's not only presenting back the purchase options, but ChannelSight is also aggregating and capturing and presenting back the ratings and reviews. So how many reviews and what's the average rating of those reviews for those specific items across those products. So that's a recent addition to the product set and something that we're very excited about, and that's going down very well with brands. And then finally, if I take this example, which is Tara Group, a furniture manufacturer, where we're in the unique position of working with them across their e-commerce platforms, but also working with a number of their retail customers, then when I go to the where to buy experience, we're powering the online and local. So if you think here's all the online results which have that item in stock, but also then all the local retailers which are stocking that item. So again, a very exciting opportunity for us, not only to support the brands, but also to work directly with the retailers in that cross exchange of data, which is then enabling this experience and all the data that is captured from that.
Fantastic. Those are really good, great practical examples. So what I could do next is I could show a little bit about how a retailer could use this data and information with what we can gather with ChannelSight from the brand side. So obviously sending traffic directly from that buy now button is really fantastic and really high quality. But as we know, and my screen is visible now. Okay, awesome. So as we know, what happens often when we're surfing around the web is that, you check something and then something else happens and you leave, right? And you forget the whole thing. So let's assume I have been checking out the Philips website. There has been a TV I really loved about, but I didn't click, or maybe I even clicked the purchase now button by ChannelSight. But then something happened, I left, and now I go back to the retailer side directly. So I don't go anymore to the Philips side, but now I go to the retailer side. So what we can help with Frosmo to do, this is our demo site, Frosmo's own demo store. We don't unfortunately sell these fantastic products here, so they're just examples.
Not yet, but we can help you with that.
Oh, thank you. True that. So as I explained, now the idea is that I have been recognized at some point as a Philips fan. So this is the store, this is the site how it would look like if I wouldn't have been recognized. So if I just arrived at the site, the only thing it really knows about me is that, hey, I'm a new visitor to this retailer site, and I'm arriving from Helsinki, Finland. And this is like how 99% of the retailer sites work. But what about if we have been able to share that data between the brand and this retailer? And what happens is that, as you can see, now I have been segmented to this LinkedIn Live segment here, and the whole experience immediately at the homepage changes quite drastically. So Philips TVs are available at us. So that's a great, very strong welcoming message. So I think it's a great practical example of how the brands can work together with the retailers. And I'm going to show you very quickly just one step more. So this is the Frosmos control panel. It's a very easy, no coding tool. So any marketer, any retailer can use it by themselves. What you can do is you can also enhance the experience even more. So what I could do is, in addition to changing this big banner, what I could do is I could change the product recommendations under here and just match it with these Philips products right away. So that's something super easy and powerful to do. So what I can just do, I'll just change the title now because of lack of time. We really love Philips products too, and I could target it the same way that, hey, I'll choose the same segment for as I have for the Philips big banner, and I'll just reload the site, and I managed to do a demo effect. Did I save it or not?
It's always the beauty of live demonstrations.
Yeah, it's good.
But the fantastic thing is that like Philips has been our customer since we opened the doors in 2013. So when myself, John Beckett, and Kieran Dunnan, who founded the company, we were going backwards and forwards for about 6 months to Amsterdam on a regular basis. That's when we, I suppose, started the relationship in a very small way, but now we work with them in many countries since we started that journey. An amazing partner doing hundreds of millions online, massive DTC operation, very large indirect operation, and also very much an innovation-led group. And so they leverage a lot of large data sets and data lakes and DMP, DSP setups in order to understand what's happening in the user journey and then syndicates that capability working with partners, like ourselves, Frosmo type setups, in order to be able to retarget and give very specific tailored messaging to each and every individual, whether that's to amplify and I suppose, reduce the friction to get to somebody like Amazon or Walmart or Target, or it's to redirect them back as and when appropriate to their own DTC stores. So they're very efficient in understanding the segmentation and the user journeys and the personas, and then how to react to that at a very large scale in near real time. Again, that's the power of working with partners like Frosmo, where once you have the tagging in place, you then get access to all this live telemetry, which can then be repurposed to enrich the consumer experience, not only on the brand property, but also down the chain at retail side.
Exactly. I managed to get it work. So this is how easy it is for me to, example, start matching the recommendations. So, all right, we have now 22 minutes out of our 25-minute slot of Espresso Friday chat, and I'm gonna ask you one more question. So, what are the most common mistakes and pitfalls a brand site should avoid, or how to avoid when it comes to working together with retailers and e-commerce?
I think the biggest challenge, being totally transparent of all the years of working within large organizations myself, but also from engaging with many, many brands in many, many countries, the biggest enemy or challenge or friction point is actually from within. So large organizations typically operate in silos. So whether it's the global team versus the local team, or even within business units that sit in the same office block and possibly on the same floor, sometimes don't interact that often or don't engage, either because there's some level of competition between the groups if they're within the same category structure. So that could be that the direct team is not that happy about the indirect team and there's not much cooperation going on. Or it could be that people just don't understand their role and their responsibility and the influence that they can have, not only on their own brand properties, but also further down the chain. So if I give you, I suppose, a real life example, if I'm the person who's responsible for master data for a product, and I'm sitting in the bowels of a very big organization that might have 30,000 people, then I may not have a clue that what I'm doing today in an Excel sheet or in an ERP system or whatever platform is ultimately going to go further downstream, which becomes a river and then becomes the sea. So that tiny little change that I've done or that system update that I've made will trickle down and have a massive impact. So when people say, who's responsible for e-commerce? Well, in the past, there was, specific teams, there were the first movers, they were the innovators. But now I would argue that everybody is e-commerce. No matter what your function is, if you're enabling something to happen at any point across an organization, from marketing perspective, packaging perspective, shopper insights, trade marketing, media teams, etc., then you all have a role. So then e-commerce, maybe you drop the E and it becomes commerce, and commerce is business, and business is just business. So if it's all about serving the retail customer, the distributor community, and also your consumer, then it's everybody's role by nature of just being involved as a digital element, an online element, an e-commerce element. So the biggest pitfall is not being aligned internally, because if you're having that thing where just through lack of maturity and just through the ways of working not being formally established, or you're actively competing with yourself internally, then you're distracted from the real opportunity and the real game-changing value that can be brought for the brand by being one voice when you go out and have a conversation with retail. So in the past, you would have very much had the key account managers going and having the commercial discussions, and then there's ad hoc top-to-top meetings with the digital team. But nowadays, if you think of joint business planning, which has now become e-joint business planning or e-business joint business planning, you go in as a team. So you have representation from the different parts of the organization, from fulfillment, logistics, the marketing team, the trade marketing team, commercial team, the digital team, the e-commerce team. Because when you go in with one voice, then you're having one conversation, everybody's on the same page, and it becomes a partnership approach versus adversarial combative approach. So then the data sharing starts to happen. And when the data sharing starts to happen, that's when the true opportunity is unlocked. Because once you have access to that data set, that's when you're going to be able to affect real positive and sustainable change on the brand side, but also retail. And also when you can come up with insights which can help retail unlock a problem. So if you're walking into retail and you're talking about how can I sell more of my products, it's the wrong entry point. If you're going in and saying, ultimately, I would like to sell more of my products, but how can I help you sell more of the category? So I know that the value I'm going to bring and what I'm going to help you unlock is going to help competitors sell products. It's going to help your own brand sell, more products. But ultimately, I know it's going to help me do better, because if I improve the consumer journey, the experience, the engagement, the offers, the promotional mechanics, ultimately I will win. And if I lean in first versus all my competitors, then I'm in a better position relationship-wise and positioned to be part of innovation programs and new promotional mechanics. I will get that edge by leaning forward. Where historically it's operate in silos, divide and conquer, very adversarial. So I think
the complexity, the complexity of the media's changed, the landscape there, the complexity of the organizations, the way you run your everyday business. That's how the world is changing rapidly. But that's another conversation. We're running out of time. Fantastic insights, Niall and ChannelSight. Thank you. I hope everyone that this espresso chat was useful for you and insightful. Don't hesitate to contact me or Niall. We're more than happy to help you guys no matter if you're brand sides or retailers or any other side too. Happy to always talk about these topics related to e-commerce, brands, digital channels, and all sort of things around that. Thanks. It was great to have you.
Yeah, one final point I would put just before we close off, and it's a shameless plug on your behalf, is that because we've obviously worked together in a number of different guises over the years, and you've helped me solve some very complex and innovative challenges and always been ready to lean in with the team. The one thing I would call out for any large organization out there, which has lots and lots of web properties of all different types of technologies, all different stages of maturity, that if you're looking for a platform which can help you first and foremost understand what's going on today, because that's one of the biggest challenges, and then through that understand how data is flowing, how people are interacting, whether that's trade teams, internal sales teams, or consumers are browsing and experiencing and effectively activating to a purchase, whether on the site or off the site. I think Frosmo has always been one of the best partners that we've worked with. And why I'm proud and happy to make this shameless plug is that I think it hands down, when it comes to legacy architecture and very high volume of traffic, I think that you guys are one of the strongest in the industry, and that's why it's always a pleasure to cooperate with you guys.
Thank you. That's very, very kind of you. Very kind words. So thanks once again. Thanks everyone for joining our live chat. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it.
See you, folks. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.